You will marry him, Amara. The decision is final. Her father's voice cuts through the incense-thick air of the council chamber, each word a blade she cannot deflect. Amara stands before the 12 elders of the Oyo court, her spine straight, her hands trembling behind the ceremonial wrapper draped across her shoulders. The gold threads itch against her skin. Everything itches. The weight of the crown she hasn't earned yet. The eyes of men who see her as currency. The future is closing around her throat like a fist. I have never even seen his face, she says, and her voice cracks on the last word. She hates herself for it. A princess does not crack. You will see it on your wedding day, her uncle replies from the shadows. The alliance with the House of Choi secures our trade routes, their ships, their protection. You are the bridge, Amara. You are what saves us. She wants to scream that she is not a bridge. She is 23 years old and has spent her entire life preparing to rule. Not to be sold across an ocean to a man whose language she does not speak, whose culture she knows only through the coal reports of merchants. She has studied governance, warfare, and diplomacy. She has negotiated peace between rival clans. She has bled for her people. And now they are sending her away. What if I refuse? The question slips out before she can stop it. The silence that follows is suffocating. Her father rises from his throne, and for a moment she thinks he will strike her. He has never struck her, but she has never defied him like this. Not in front of the council, not with the future of their kingdom hanging in the balance. Then you are no daughter of mine, he says quietly, and you will watch everything we have built burn. The words hollow her out. She stands there emptied as the council dismisses her with a wave of hands that have already moved on to other matters. She has decided. She is done. Outside the chamber, her sister Zuri catches her arm. Amara, wait! Don't! Amara pulls away, but Zuri holds on, her fingers digging into Amara's wrist. Listen to me. I know you're angry, but there's something you don't know about the prince. Amara laughs, sharp and bitter. What could I possibly need to know? That he's rich? That he's powerful? That he'll treat me like a trophy? That he didn't ask for this either. The revelation stops her. Zuri's eyes are urgent, almost frightened. I heard the emissaries talking. The Prince Min-jun fought against the arrangement. His mother forced it. She wants heirs. She wants legitimacy. He's as trapped as you are. Amara wants to believe this changes something. It doesn't. She's still being shipped across the world. She's still losing everything. 3 weeks, Zuri whispers. You have 3 weeks before the ship leaves. If you're going to run, do it now. But Amara knows she won't run. Running means her people suffer. Running means her father was right to doubt her. Running means she is weak. So when the ship departs from the port of Lagos 21 days later, she is on it, standing at the rail in a dress that doesn't belong to her, watching her homeland shrink into the horizon until it becomes just another dark line between water and sky. If you've ever felt caught between who you are and who the world demands you to be, you're not alone. Welcome to Afro-Korean Stories TV, where love crosses borders and hearts collide in the space between cultures. Subscribe now, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, and hit that like button, because this story is just beginning, and Amara's journey will change everything you thought you knew about destiny, power, and love. Now let's get back to it.
The crossing takes 47 days. Amara counts every single one. She spends the first week vomiting over the side of the ship, her body rejecting the ocean's rhythm the way it rejects this entire enterprise. The Korean guards assigned to escort her keep their distance, speaking in hushed tones she doesn't understand, occasionally bringing her broth she cannot keep down. She refuses to learn their names. They are jailers dressed in silk. The second week, the nausea fades and fury takes its place. She paces the small cabin, rehearsing speeches she'll never give, imagining scenarios where she arrives in Korea and burns the whole arrangement to ash with her words alone. She pictures the prince, arrogant, cruel, dismissive. She sharpens her hatred on his imagined face. The third week, loneliness sets in. She misses Zuri's laugh. She misses the heat of home, the red dust, the sound of drums at festival time. She misses being known. Here she is no one. A cargo, a promise sealed in ink and gold. One of the guards, a young woman named Hae-jin, she learns, though she tries not to, brings her books, Korean folk tales, histories, language primers. It will be easier, Hae-jin says carefully in broken Portuguese, one of the few languages they share fragments of, if you understand. Amara wants to throw the books into the sea. Instead, she reads them all. By the fourth week, she can recognize basic Hangul characters. By the fifth, she can stumble through simple phrases. By the sixth, she dreams in a language that isn't hers. And when she wakes, she feels like she's disappearing. On the 47th day, they arrive. The port of Busan is nothing like Lagos. Everything is angles and precision, stone and wood fitting together in ways that seem almost geometric. The air smells of salt and pine and something else she can't name, something ancient and cold. People stop to stare as her procession moves through the streets. She is taller than most of the women, darker than anyone, wrapped in fabrics that mark her as foreign. She lifts her chin and stares back, refusing to be diminished. The palace is a 3-day journey inland. They travel by palanquin, and Amara watches the countryside transform, rice paddies giving way to mountains, villages clustering in valleys like secrets. Everything is so green it hurts to look at, so different, so far from home. When they finally arrive at the Choi estate, it takes her breath away. The palace sprawls across a hillside, all curved roofs and red pillars. Gardens arranged in patterns that speak of centuries of careful cultivation. Beauty, yes, but also control. Everything here is ordered. Everything has its place, including her. The Dowager Queen, Min-jun's mother, receives her in a hall lined with screens painted with cranes and clouds. The woman is small, elegant, terrifying. Her face reveals nothing as she examines Amara like a horse being evaluated for purchase. "You are taller than I expected," she says in perfect Portuguese, and Amara realizes with a jolt that this woman has been preparing for her arrival as much as Amara has been dreading it. "And darker, the court will talk. Let them. You are here to produce heirs, not to be admired." The words are designed to wound. Amara keeps her expression neutral. "I am here because our kingdoms made an agreement. I intend to honor it." "Good." The Dowager Queen gestures, and servants appear from nowhere. "You will be prepared for the wedding. It will take place in 3 days. You will meet my son tomorrow. Do not embarrass him. Do not embarrass me. Do not forget that you are a guest in this house until you prove yourself useful." Amara wants to ask what happens if she refuses to be useful. She already knows the answer. They lead her to chambers that are more luxurious than anything she's ever known. Silk bedding, lacquered furniture, screens that divide the space into intimate corners. A bath has been drawn, scented with oils she doesn't recognize. Women attend her, stripping away her travel-stained clothes, their hands efficient and impersonal. She stands naked in water that's too hot, letting them scrub away the last traces of the ocean, of home, of who she used to be. That night, she didn't sleep. She stands at the window watching the moon rise over gardens designed to imitate nature while controlling every branch, every stone, every blade of grass. She understands suddenly what they intend to do to her. The prince arrives the next morning without warning. Amara is in the garden, attempting to meditate the way one of the servants suggested, when she hears footsteps on the gravel path. She opens her eyes to find a man standing 3 paces away, watching her with an expression she cannot read. He is younger than she expected, 25, perhaps 26, lean and tall for a Korean man, though still shorter than her. His face is composed, beautiful in a way that makes her think of the painted screens. Careful, deliberate, revealing nothing of what lies beneath. He wears simple robes, dark blue, no ornamentation except for a jade pendant at his throat. For a long moment, neither of them speaks. Then he bows, not deeply, an acknowledgement between equals, not a subject greeting royalty. "Princess Amara," he says in Korean, and then switching to Portuguese, "I apologize for the intrusion. I wanted to meet you before the ceremony, before the performance begins." His Portuguese is flawless. his voice low and measured. She finds herself standing without meaning to, her body responding to the formality even as her mind rebels against it. Prince Min-jun, she replies, and hates how her voice sounds. Uncertain. Young. I was told I would meet you today. I wasn't told when. My mother prefers surprises. She believes they reveal character. He takes a step closer, and she notices his eyes. Dark, yes, but with something flickering behind the careful control. Curiosity, maybe, or calculation. I prefer honesty. So let me be honest with you. I did not want this marriage. I assume you didn't either. The directness shocks her. She expected politeness, distance, the kind of formal courtship that appears over the violence of arrangement. Not this. No, she says. I didn't. Good. Then we understand each other. He gestures to a stone bench beneath a cherry tree. Will you sit? I promise I'm not as dangerous as the rumors suggest. What rumors? A ghost of a smile touches his mouth. That I'm cursed. That I killed my first wife. That I practice forbidden arts and speak to demons. The usual things people say about a prince who reads too much and refuses to conform. She sits despite herself. Did you? Kill your wife? I was never married. The rumors are useful. They keep certain people at a distance. He settles beside her, close enough that she can smell something like cedar and ink. I'm a scholar, princess. I study history, medicine, and astronomy, things my mother considers wasteful. She wants a warrior, a politician, someone who will expand our influence through force. Instead, she got me. So she bought you a wife to legitimize you. She bought me a wife to produce heirs who might be more to her liking. You and I are both tools in her design. His voice is calm, stating facts without bitterness. But that doesn't mean we have to be enemies. Amara studies him, searching for the lie, the manipulation. She finds only exhaustion that mirrors her own. What are you proposing? An alliance, a partnership. We play the roles expected of us in public. In private, we live as we choose. You want freedom within this cage? So do I. We can give each other that. It's a logical offer. A reasonable offer. And yet something in her resists it. You make it sound simple. It's not simple, but it's survivable. He turns to face her fully, and for the first time she sees something raw beneath the careful exterior. I know what it's like to be trapped by what people need you to be. I know what it's like to have your choices taken. I can't give you back your home, princess. But I can give you space to breathe, if you'll let me. She wants to trust him. She wants to believe that this prison might have a window, that this stranger might become an ally. But trust is a luxury she cannot afford. I need time, she says. The wedding is in 2 days. Then I'll decide in 2 days. He nods, rising. That's fair. I'll leave you to your meditation. He pauses, then adds, for what it's worth, I'm sorry, for all of it. You deserve better than this. He walks away before she can respond, leaving her alone in the garden with cherry blossoms beginning to fall like snow. The wedding is a spectacle designed to demonstrate power. Hundreds of guests from across the kingdom and beyond. Silk banners, musicians, food arranged in towers. Amara wears a hanbok in red and gold, colors that mean luck and prosperity. Her hair arranged in a style that takes 3 servants 2 hours to complete. She looks at herself in the mirror and doesn't recognize what looks back. Min-jun waits for her at the altar in the main hall, surrounded by monks and officials. He's dressed in formal robes, his expression composed. When their eyes meet, something passes between them. Understanding, maybe. Mutual surrender. The ceremony is in Korean. She doesn't understand most of it. She speaks the words they've taught her phonetically, promises binding her to a man she's unknown for 2 days, to a land that will never be home. When it's done, they are declared husband and wife, and the crowd erupts in celebration. The feast lasts hours. Amara sits beside Min-jun at the high table, smiling when required, nodding when addressed, feeling like an actor in a play whose script she hasn't learned. The Dowager Queen watches from her position of honor, her satisfaction evident. She has won. Her son is married. The alliance is sealed. Late in the evening, when the guests have blurred into a mass of faces and noise, Min-jun leans close and whispers, "You're doing well. Just a few more hours." "I want to leave," she whispers back. "Soon, after the traditional departure. Then we'll go to the East Wing. Our chambers. You'll have privacy there." "Will you?" He hesitates. "That depends on what you want." She doesn't know what she wants. She knows what's expected: consumption of the marriage, production of heirs, the fulfillment of the contract written in her flesh. But Min-jun's offer of partnership echoes in her mind. Space to breathe. When they finally escape to the East Wing, she's exhausted down to her bones. The chambers are vast, connected rooms flowing into each other, lit by lanterns that cast everything in gold. Servants have laid out tea, fruit, more luxury than she can process. Min-jun dismisses them all with a gesture. When they're alone, he pours tea for both of them, his movements careful. "I meant what I said in the garden. You have space here. I won't force anything. We can let the court believe what they want to believe." Amara takes the tea, grateful. "Your mother will expect proof. Heirs." "My mother expects many things. We'll manage her expectations when necessary." He sits across from her, maintaining distance. "For now, rest. Tomorrow will be difficult enough." She wants to ask what he means, but she's too tired. She drinks the tea, bitter, grounding, and lets herself believe just for a moment that this might be survivable. If you're feeling this story in your chest, if you're wondering what happens when two people trapped by duty find each other in the darkness, stay with us. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling us what you think of Amara and Min-jun so far, and share this with someone who needs to see that love can bloom even in impossible places. We're just getting to the part where everything changes. Let's go. The first month is a careful dance. Amara learns the rhythms of the palace, when to appear, what to say, how to navigate the invisible hierarchies that govern every interaction. She studies Korean with fierce determination, refusing to remain dependent on translators. Min-jun helps, spending evenings teaching her characters, correcting her pronunciation with a patience that surprises her. They develop a routine. Public appearances where they play the devoted couple. Private hours where they retreat to separate corners of their chambers, existing in parallel without collision. It's not intimacy, but it's not war either. The dowager queen watches them like a hawk studying prey. She summons Amara regularly, testing her knowledge of court protocol, her proficiency in the language, and her willingness to submit. Amara bows when required and holds her ground when possible, walking the line between compliance and defiance. "You are learning," the dowager queen acknowledges one afternoon, 3 weeks into the marriage. "But learning is not enough. When will you give my son a child?" The question lands like a slap. Amara keeps her voice steady. "These things take time, Your Majesty. Time we may not have. There are whispers that the marriage is a sham, that my son keeps you as a pet, not a wife. These whispers undermine everything we've built. Then perhaps you should have married him to someone of his choosing." The temperature in the room drops. The dowager queen rises, her small frame radiating fury. "You forget yourself, girl. You are here because we allow it. Your kingdom survives because we protect it. Do not test me." Amara bows, retreating before the storm breaks. But as she walks back to her chambers, rage burns in her chest. She is tired of being a pawn, tired of bowing, tired of swallowing her voice. She finds Min-jun in his study, surrounded by scrolls and books. He looks up as she enters, reading her mood instantly. "What did my mother say?" "She wants proof that this marriage is real. She wants an heir." He sets down his brush carefully. "I see. Is that all you have to say? I see. What would you like me to say? That I'll defy her? She holds all the power here, Amara. If we push too hard, she'll find ways to punish us both. So we just comply? We just give her what she wants? We survive. That was the agreement." Something in her snaps. "I didn't agree to be your mother's broodmare. I didn't agree to disappear into this palace and pretend to be grateful for the cage." Min-jun stands, his calm cracking. "You think I wanted this? You think I enjoy being her puppet? I've spent my entire life trying to carve out space to breathe in this place, and it's never enough. Nothing is ever enough for her. Then maybe we should stop trying to please her. And do what? Run away? Renounce the throne? Burn it all down? His voice rises, frustration bleeding through. I know you're angry. I know you hate being here. But rage without strategy is just suicide. Maybe I don't care anymore. The words hang between them, raw and dangerous. Min-jun stares at her, and she sees something shift in his expression. Recognition, maybe. Understanding. My first teacher, he says quietly, told me a story about a bird trapped in a golden cage. The bird raged against the bars until it broke its wings. When the cage door finally opened, the bird couldn't fly. It had destroyed itself trying to escape. He moves closer, his voice dropping. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for either of us. Then what do you want? I want time. I want us to build something real before they force us into something false. I want... He stops, seeming to wrestle with the words. I want to know you, Amara. Not the princess they brought here. You, the person beneath the armor. The vulnerability in his voice disarms her. She spent weeks seeing him as an ally of convenience, a co-conspirator in survival. But this is different. This is a door opening. I don't know if I remember who that is anymore, she admits. Then maybe we can figure it out together. It's not a declaration of love. It's barely a declaration of friendship. But it's the first genuine thing that's passed between them since the wedding, and Amara finds herself nodding. Okay, time. We'll find a way to buy time. That night they eat dinner together for the first time since the ceremony. Not in formal silence, but in conversation, halting at first, then flowing. He tells her about his studies, his fascination with astronomy, his theory that the stars might be other worlds. She tells him about her training, her love of strategy games, and the way she used to sneak out of the palace to watch the markets. She learns that he hates ginger and loves rain, that he writes poetry he never shows anyone, that he's terrified of becoming his mother. He learns that she can't swim but dreams about the ocean, that she misses her sister with an ache that never fades, that she's afraid of forgetting her language, her gods, herself. When they finally retreat to their separate sleeping areas, something has shifted. The cage is still there, but maybe, just maybe, they found a crack in the bars. The revelation comes 2 months into the marriage, delivered by a servant Amara has come to trust, a young woman named Ji-woo, who brings her tea and occasionally gossips in careful whispers. Princess, Ji-woo says one morning, her voice urgent. There's something you should know about why you were really brought here. Amara sets down the letter she's been writing to Zuri, her attention sharpening. What do you mean? Ji-woo glances at the door, then moves closer. The dowager queen. She didn't arrange this marriage just for heirs. There's a plot against your homeland. The world tilts. Explain. The trade agreement, it was never about protection. It was about access. There are factions within the court who want to establish a military presence in African ports, use them as staging grounds for expansion. The Dowager Queen promised them she could secure it through marriage. Through you. Amara's blood goes cold. She's using me to betray my people. She's using you as leverage. If your father refuses the expanded terms, she'll threaten to send you back in disgrace. Or worse, she's already been in correspondence with his enemies, offering them support if they move against him. How do you know this? I read the letters. I serve in her chambers. I'm not supposed to understand Portuguese, but my mother was a translator. I've been watching, waiting. I thought you should know what you're caught in. Amara wants to vomit. Everything, the wedding, the careful courtship, Min-jun's kindness, all of it built on a foundation of lies. She's not just a pawn, she's a weapon being aimed at her own people. Does Min-jun know? Ji-woo hesitates. I don't know, princess, but he's his mother's son. How could he not? The doubt plants itself like a seed, and Amara hates how quickly it grows. She thinks of all the conversations, all the vulnerability, all the moments she let herself believe they were building something real. Was it all performance? Was she really that naive? She dismisses Ji-woo with shaking hands and sits alone in the chamber, trying to breathe through the betrayal. She needs proof, She needs to know if Min-jun is complicit or ignorant. She needs to decide what to do with this information that could destroy everything. That night, when Min-jun returns from court, she's waiting. He sees her face and stops. "What's wrong? Tell me the truth about why I'm here." His expression shifts, wariness replacing warmth. "What are you talking about?" "The trade agreement, the expansion, the plan to use our marriage as leverage against my father." Silence. Damning, terrible silence. "You knew," she says, and it's not a question. "Amara, you knew and you didn't tell me. You let me think this was just about heirs, about survival. You let me trust you." "It's not that simple." "Then make it simple." She's shouting now, beyond caring who hears. "Did you know your mother is plotting against my people? Yes or no?" "Yes." The word drops like a stone. "Yes, I knew, but I didn't agree with it. I've been trying to find a way to stop it." "By lying to me? By pretending to be my ally while your mother uses me as a weapon?" "I was protecting you. If you'd known from the beginning, if you'd reacted, she would have suspected. She would have moved against you, against your family, immediately. I needed time to build a counter-strategy. You needed time to manipulate me into compliance." She's crying now, furious at the tears, at the way her voice breaks. "I trusted you. I let you in, and all of it was just another cage." "No." He reaches for her, and she flinches back. The hurt on his face would move her if she weren't drowning on her own. "Amara, please. Everything between us has been real. The rest of it, the politics, the plots. I've been trying to protect you from all of it. By lying. By giving us a chance to fight back together. But I couldn't tell you until I knew." He stops, something crumbling in his expression. "Until I knew if you'd see me as an enemy." "What else am I supposed to see? Your mother is threatening my father. She's working with his enemies. You've known all along. I was going to tell you, I swear. I was waiting for the right moment." "There is no right moment for this." She's shaking, the rage and betrayal tearing through her. "You're just like her, just like all of them, using people, playing games, pretending honor matters when all that matters is power. That's not fair." "Fair?" She laughs, broken. "Nothing about this has ever been fair. I was sold to you. My people are being threatened, and the one person I thought might actually give a damn about me turns out to be a liar." "I do give a damn about you." His voice cracks. "That's why I tried to shield you from this. That's why I've been fighting my mother every day to keep her from accelerating the plan. I care about you, Amara, more than I've cared about anyone in years. And yes, I lied. I lied because I was terrified that if you knew the truth, you'd look at me exactly the way you're looking at me now." The confession hangs between them, raw and desperate. Part of her wants to believe him. Part of her wants to reach across the distance and find a way back to the fragile trust they'd started building. But the larger part, the part that remembers every betrayal, every moment her choices were stolen, that part knows better. "I can't do this," she says. "I can't be here with you, knowing what I know. I need space. I need to think. Amara, please." She's begging now, and she hates it. "Just go. Please." He looks at her for a long moment, and she sees everything in his eyes. Regret, longing, the same desperate desire for connection that's been eating her alive. But he nods. He leaves, and she collapses onto the floor, letting the sobs tear through her, while the walls of the golden cage close in tighter than ever. The next 3 weeks are a war conducted in silence. Amara avoids Min-jun whenever possible. When they must appear together publicly, they perform their roles with mechanical precision, smiling, touching, playing at devotion. But in private, they orbit each other like wounded animals, too hurt to engage, too trapped to truly separate. She spends her days planning. Jiwoo becomes her spy, feeding her information about the Dowager Queen's communications, the shifting allegiances within the court, the timeline of the plot against her homeland. Amara learns that the plan is set to execute in 3 months, a coordinated move where Korean ships will arrive in Lagos harbor under the guise of trade, then establish a permanent military presence. If her father resists, they'll support a coup by his rivals, unless she can stop it. She writes letters to Zuri in code, warning her, begging her to tell their father to prepare. But she has no way to know if the letters arrive, if they're intercepted, if anyone back home even believes the threat is real. Min-jun tries to talk to her, leaves notes, attempts conversations that she cuts off with cold efficiency. She watches him wilt under the freeze, and part of her takes savage satisfaction in it. Let him hurt. Let him know what betrayal feels like. But another part, the part she's trying desperately to ignore, aches at the distance. She remembers his laugh when she mispronounced a Korean word, the way he'd explain constellations with his whole body animated by wonder, the moment he'd admitted his fear of becoming his mother. She remembers thinking just for a second that maybe she wasn't alone. 3 weeks after the revelation, the Dowager Queen summons her to a private audience. Amara goes, armored in silk and composure, ready for battle. The Dowager Queen sits in her receiving room, tea already poured, her expression unreadable. Sit, daughter. The word is pointed. Amara sits. You've been avoiding my son. I've been indisposed. You've been sulking. It's unbecoming. The Dowager Queen sips her tea delicately. Let me be clear, Princess. I know you know about the expanded agreement with your homeland. I assume my son finally found his spine and told you. The admission steals Amara's breath. You wanted me to know? Eventually, it was always going to come out. Better from him than from some servant's whisper. She sets down her cup. Now that you know, we can discuss your role in the next phase. I have no role in your invasion. Invasion is such an ugly word. We prefer strategic partnership. And you do have a role. You will write to your father. You will tell him that the agreement is in everyone's best interests. You will persuade him to cooperate. Or what? The Dowager Queen's smile is sharp as glass. Or I will make sure the factions currently challenging his rule receive enough support to succeed. Your father will be deposed, your family will be executed, and you will live here, in this palace, knowing you could have saved them. Amara's hands clench in her lap. You can't. I can. I have ships. I have gold. I have influenced your father. The only question is whether I need to use them. She leans forward. Cooperate and your family remains in power. They'll be our partners, not our subjects. Refuse and everyone you love dies. It's really quite simple. And Min-jun? Does he agree with this? Something flickers in the Dowager Queen's expression. Annoyance, maybe. My son is idealistic. He believes in diplomacy, in mutual respect, in fairy tales. I believe in power. The world is not kind to kingdoms that rely on goodwill. She stands, signaling the end of the conversation. You have 1 week to decide. Write the letter or I start making calls. Choose wisely. Amara leaves the chamber on legs that barely hold her. She makes it back to her rooms before the shaking starts. Ji-woo finds her there, helps her to a seat, brings her water she can't drink. What do I do? Amara whispers. How do I fight this? You can't. Not alone. Ji-woo's voice is gentle but firm. She has too much power. Unless what? Unless you can turn the court against her, expose the plot publicly, make it too costly for her to proceed. She'll destroy my family before I can speak. Maybe, or maybe there's someone who can speak for you. Someone with enough authority that she can't simply silence them. Understanding dawns. Min-jun. He's her son, the heir. If he publicly opposes the expansion, if he argues for true partnership instead of domination, the court will have to listen. She can't ignore him without undermining her own power. He'll never do it. He's been protecting her this whole time. Has he? Or has he been protecting you? Ji-woo meets her eyes. You need to talk to him, Princess. Really talk, because I think you've both been fighting the same battle from different sides. Amara finds Min-jun in the garden where they first spoke, sitting beneath the cherry tree that's now bare of blossoms. He looks up as she approaches, and the hope that flashes across his face nearly breaks her. Amara, we need to talk. I've been trying to talk to you for weeks. I know, I wasn't ready. She sits beside him, leaving space between them. Your mother summoned me today. She gave me a week to write a letter supporting the expansion. If I refuse, she'll have my family killed. His jaw tightens. She told you that directly? She wanted me to understand my options, or lack thereof. Amara turns to face him. I need to know, Min-jun, are you with her or against her? Because I can't fight this alone. I've been against her from the start, he says quietly. Everything I've done, the delays, the arguments, the attempts to undermine her strategy, it's all been to buy time, to find a way to stop this without getting you killed. Why didn't you just tell me? Because I didn't know if I could trust you. At first you were just another of her schemes. Then you became... He stops, searching for words. Someone I couldn't bear to lose. And I was terrified that if you knew how deep the betrayal went, you'd do something reckless. Something that would give her an excuse to eliminate you. So you lied to protect me. Yes, and I'm sorry. I'm so deeply sorry. His voice roughens. But Amara, you have to understand. My mother is dangerous. She's brilliant and ruthless, and she doesn't lose. If we're going to stop her, we need a plan that she won't see coming. We need leverage she can't counter. Ji-woo suggested exposing the plot publicly, making it too costly for her to proceed. That would work if we had allies, but the court is full of her supporters. They profit from expansion. They won't turn against her without significant incentive. Amara thinks, pieces clicking into place. What if we gave them a better option? What if we proposed a real partnership? One that benefits both kingdoms without requiring military occupation. Trade routes, cultural exchange, mutual defense treaties. Everything she's promising, but without the invasion. Min-jun's eyes light up. If we could present it to the full court, if we could get enough ministers on our side before she can shut us down, we'd need proof that her way is dangerous. Evidence that military expansion would cost more than it gains. I have that. Historical records, economic analyses. I've been documenting everything, preparing for this. He turns to her fully. But if we do this, Amara, we're declaring war on my mother. She won't forgive it. She won't stop until she's destroyed us both. Then we'd better make sure we win. For the first time in weeks, something passes between them. Not trust, not yet, but the foundation of it. A shared purpose. A common enemy. There's one more thing, Min-jun says. If we're doing this, if we're really challenging her, you need to know something about me. About why she's so desperate for heirs. Tell me. I'm sick. A condition I was born with. It's progressive. Some years I'm fine. Other years, he gestures vaguely. My physicians give me another decade at most. My mother knows. She's known my whole life. That's why she needs me to get married. And needs grandchildren. She's preparing for my death. The revelation hits like a physical blow. Min-jun, I'm not telling you for sympathy. I'm telling you so you understand the timeline. Whatever we do, we have to do it now, because I don't know how much time we have. Amara reaches across the space between them and takes his hand. His fingers are cool, trembling slightly. Then we fight now. Together. Together, he echoes. They sit there as the sun sets over the garden, holding hands like children afraid of the dark, planning a rebellion that will either save two kingdoms or destroy them both. The next 6 days are a controlled sprint toward catastrophe. Min-jun calls in favors, meets with ministers he believes can be swayed, builds a coalition in whispers and shadow. Amara drafts a proposal, a genuine partnership treaty that addresses Korean security concerns while preserving her homeland's sovereignty. Ji-woo acts as messenger, courier, spy, moving through the palace like smoke. The Dowager Queen watches, but doesn't act. She's confident. Why wouldn't she be? She holds all the cards, or so she thinks. On the 7th day, the day Amara's deadline expires, Min-jun requests an emergency session of the full court. It's an unusual move, but he's the crown prince. The request is granted. Amara dresses carefully that morning, Korean robes in her homeland's colors, deep gold and crimson. Her hair is arranged in both Korean and African styles, a visible fusion. She is done pretending to be one thing or another. She is both. She is neither. She is herself. The court gathers in the Great Hall, hundreds of officials in formal dress, murmuring about the unexpected summons. The Dowager Queen sits in her place of honor, her expression carved from ice. When her eyes meet Amara's, the message is clear. You will regret this. Min-jun stands before the assembly, Amara at his side. His voice when he speaks is steady, carrying to every corner of the vast space. Honored court, I have called you here to address a matter of critical importance to our kingdom's future. As you know, we recently formalized a marriage alliance with the Oyo, Kingdom of West Africa. What you may not know is the full scope of the agreement my mother has negotiated. Whispers ripple through the crowd. The Dowager Queen's expression doesn't change, but Amara sees her hands tighten on the arms of her chair. Min-jun continues. The plan, as currently structured, calls for a military occupation of African ports under the guise of trade protection. It requires coercion, threats, and the potential destabilization of a sovereign kingdom. I stand before you today to say that this plan is not only morally wrong, it's strategically foolish. The whispers become a roar. Ministers shout questions. The Dowager Queen rises. This is inappropriate, she says, her voice cutting through the chaos. My son is ill-informed and speaking out of turn. I am informed by the letters you wrote, Min-jun interrupts, producing documents. I am informed by the communications you've had with Oyo's rivals. I am informed by the budget you've allocated for ships and soldiers. Would you like me to read these aloud, Mother? The silence that follows is absolute. The Dowager Queen's face remains composed, but Amara can see the fury burning beneath. You dare? I dare to propose an alternative. Min-jun gestures, and Jiwoo appears with copies of Amara's proposal, distributing them to the ministers. A true partnership, one that benefits both kingdoms without requiring subjugation. Trade routes that enrich both sides. Cultural exchange that strengthens both societies. Mutual defense without occupation. Everything we want without the cost of our honor. Amara steps forward. My father is willing to negotiate this agreement. He has always wanted partnership with your kingdom. But partnership requires respect. It requires seeing us as equals, not as territories to be conquered. Her Korean is clear now, strong. I was brought here as a bride. I choose to stay as an ally, if you'll have me. The court erupts. Some ministers nod, intrigued. Others shout protests. The Dowager Queen stands frozen, calculating, realizing that her son has outmaneuvered her. This is treason, she finally says, a betrayal of everything I've built. This is evolution, Min-jun counters. The world is changing. Kingdoms that rely solely on force are failing. We can lead through partnership, or we can decline through isolation. I know which future I will choose. A minister stands, Lord Park, one of the most influential voices in the court. The prince makes a compelling argument. If the Oyo kingdom is willing to negotiate in good faith, perhaps we should explore this option before committing to a more aggressive approach. Others murmur agreement. The tide is turning. The Dowager Queen sees it. Her power is not absolute. It never was. It relies on the court's consent, on the belief that her way is the only way. Min-jun has shattered that belief. We will put it to a vote, she says coldly. All in favor of pursuing the prince's proposal? Hands rise. Slowly at first, then in a wave. Not unanimous. There are those loyal to the old ways, to the promise of conquest, but more than half, a clear majority. The proposal passes, Lord Park announces. We will pursue partnership negotiations with the Oyo kingdom. Amara feels Min-jun's hand find hers beneath the folds of his robe. They've won. Against all odds, they've won. But as the court disperses and the Dowager Queen walks past them without a word, Amara knows this isn't over. They've won the battle. The war is just beginning. That night they celebrate in their chambers. Quiet, exhausted triumph. Jiwoo brings wine and they toast to survival, to rebellion, to the impossible. She'll retaliate, Amara says. Your mother. She won't let this stand. I know, but we built a coalition now. She can't move against us without splitting the court. Min-jun sets down his cup, his expression serious. Amara, there's something I need to say. What? All of this. The plan, the proposal, the stand we took today. I couldn't have done it without you. You made me brave. You made me believe that honor mattered more than survival. He moves closer. I meant what I said in the garden. You're not just an ally to me. You're everything. And I know we started this as strangers forced into a cage, but I'd like to think we've become something more. Her heart is racing. What are we, Min-jun? I don't know. Partners, friends, maybe. He stops, vulnerable in a way she's never seen. Maybe I'm in love with you. Maybe I have been since you first looked at me like I was a person instead of a title. Maybe that's why I fought so hard to protect you, even when it meant lying, even when it meant risking everything. She should be angry. Part of her still is. The lies, the manipulation, the web of politics that brought them here. But a larger part recognizes the truth in his words. She's been falling too. Through all the fighting, all the fury, all the moments of connection she tried to deny. I'm not ready to say I love you, she admits, but I'm not ready to say I don't. Is that enough? It's more than enough. He reaches up, tentative, and brushes a strand of hair from her face. We have time now, real time, to figure out what this is. She lets herself lean into his touch, lets herself imagine a future where they're not just survivors, but something more, something chosen. Your mother won't give us that time. You know that. Then we'll fight for it, like we fought today. His voice is fierce. I'm not giving you up, Amara. Not to her, not to politics, not to anything. A kiss happens without decision, a collision of hope and desperation and everything they've been holding back. It's not perfect. It's hungry and terrified and too intense. But it's real. When they break apart, both breathing hard, Amara laughs, shocked by her own daring, by the want coursing through her, by the way Min-jun looks at her like she's the only thing that matters. So this is what partnership feels like, she says. This is what love feels like, if you'll let it be. She kisses him again, answer enough. 1 week later, as Amara works on refining the treaty proposal, Ji-woo bursts into the chamber, face pale. Princess, you need to see this. She holds out a letter, sealed with the Oyo crest, addressed to Amara. But when Amara opens it, the contents make her blood freeze. It's from her uncle, the one who spoke in the council that first day, who told her she was the bridge. The message is short. Your father is dead, assassination. Your sister has fled. The kingdom is in chaos. Come home if you value your life. The Dowager Queen sends her regards. The room spins. Amara reads the words again, hoping they'll change. They don't. Her father, dead. Zuri, in hiding. Her home, burning. And the Dowager Queen's regards, a signature on the murder. Min-jun finds her on the floor, the letter crumpled in her fist, screaming without sound. He pulls her against him, and she fights, clawing, trying to break free from the arms that hold her while her world collapses. She killed him, Amara sobs. We stood against her, and she killed my father. She destroyed my home. She wins. She always wins. No, Min-jun's voice is iron. No, she doesn't. We're going to stop her. We're going to make this right. How? He's dead. My family is scattered. The kingdom is in chaos. What can we possibly do? We can go there. We can help Zuri take back the throne. We can use our alliance, our resources, everything we have. Your mother controls the resources. Not all of them. I have ships loyal to me, gold I've hidden, ministers who will support us. He forces her to look at him. Amara, I know you're in pain. I know this seems impossible. But we don't surrender. We fight. We make her pay for every crime. We build the world we promised, even if it costs us everything. She wants to believe him. She wants to rage and burn and tear the Dowager Queen apart with her bare hands. But all she feels is hollow. I can't, she whispers. I'm so tired, Min-jun. I'm so tired of fighting. Then let me fight for you. For now. Until you're ready. He holds her while she breaks, while the grief pours out in waves, while the cost of their rebellion becomes brutally, impossibly clear. We hope you're still with us, because this story is far from over. What happens when love collides with power? When two hearts must choose between safety and justice? Stay with Afro-Korean Stories TV. Subscribe, share this with someone who needs to see that even in darkness, there's still fight left. And comment below. Tell us what you do in Amara's place. Let's finish this together. 3 days later, they set sail. Min-jun arranges everything in secret. Loyal soldiers, ships provisioned for the journey, gold and weapons and supplies. The Dowager Queen knows, of course. She knows, and she doesn't stop them. Because she thinks they're running. She thinks she's won. But Amara isn't running. She's returning. The voyage back is nothing like the voyage away. She knows the route now, knows what waits at the other end. And she's not alone. Min-jun stays by her side, learning her language, her customs, preparing to fight for a kingdom that isn't his because it belongs to the woman he loves. You don't have to do this, she tells him one night as they stand on deck watching stars wheel overhead. This isn't your war. Yes, it is. Your wars are my wars now. Your family is my family. Your home is my home. He takes her hand. Besides, I made a promise to build a partnership. Can't do that if I let your kingdom fall. She leans against him, drawing strength from his certainty. What if we fail? What if we arrive and there's nothing left to save? Then we rebuild from nothing. But we do it together. When they arrive in Lagos, the devastation is worse than she imagined. The palace is burned. The streets are full of soldiers wearing colors she doesn't recognize. The rival faction her uncle warned about has taken control. But there's resistance. Zuri has gathered loyalists in the countryside. And when Amara appears, alive, armed, backed by Korean ships and soldiers, the rebellion ignites. Next month is war. Brutal, grinding, necessary war. Amara fights alongside Min-jun, alongside her sister, alongside everyone who refuses to let their kingdom die. They use strategies learned from two cultures. They forge alliances between African clans and Korean advisors. They become the partnership they promised the court. And slowly, painfully, they take back what was stolen. The final battle happens at the palace ruins. The rival faction's leader, a general named Okonkwo, who sold out to the Dowager Queen's promises, makes his stand. Amara faces him in the throne room her father died defending. You've lost, he tells her. Even if you kill me, the Dowager Queen will send more. She owns this land now. She owns nothing, Amara replies, and neither do you. The fight is short, brutal. When it ends, Okonkwo is dead, and Amara is standing in her father's blood, crowned in ash and victory. Zuri takes the throne. She's older, the rightful heir. But she rules with Amara as her chief advisor, as the bridge their father always meant her to be. Together they negotiate the partnership treaty with Korea, not the one the Dowager Queen wanted, the one Amara and Min-jun wrote, equal, respectful, real. When news reaches the Korean court, the Dowager Queen tries to reject it. But Lord Park and the coalition stand firm. The agreement is ratified. The partnership begins. The Dowager Queen's power crumbles, not overnight, but slowly, inevitably, as the court sees that her son's way works. That partnership yields more than conquest. That honor matters. 6 months after the war ends, Amara and Min-jun stand in the rebuilt palace gardens, half Korean design, half African wildness. A fusion, like them. Do you regret it? She asks. Everything we gave up to get here? Not for a second. He turns to her, and she sees the truth in his eyes. I'd burn 1,000 kingdoms for you. That's deeply problematic. I know, but it's true. He kisses her, soft and sure. I love you, Amara. I loved you when you were a prisoner in my palace. I loved you when you hated me. I loved you when we stood before the court and burned my mother's world down. And I'll love you through whatever comes next. Even though I'm bossy and stubborn, and I still can't speak Korean without an accent, especially because of that. She kisses him back, tasting salt and smoke in the future they're building together. I love you too, even though you lied to me and you're dramatically ill and you think poetry is a reasonable hobby. Poetry is a deeply reasonable hobby. She cuts him off with another kiss, and they stand there laughing against each other's mouths. Two people who were brought together by chains and chose to stay for love. Behind them, servants move through the garden, planting flowers from both kingdoms, orchids and hibiscus growing side by side. Above them, the sun sets in colors that belong to no single land. And in the palace, two people begin the slow work of becoming one. Thank you for staying with Amara and Min-jun until the end. Their story proves that love can be revolutionary, that choosing each other, choosing partnership, choosing to fight for something real can change everything. This is what Afro-Korean Stories TV is about. Hearts that refuse borders, love that rewrites destiny, and the courage to build new worlds together. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button right now. Share it with someone who needs to believe in love that conquers kingdoms. Comment and tell us your favorite moment. We read every single one. And stay tuned because we have more stories of passion, power, and love without limits coming your way. Until next time, remember, your heart knows no borders. Let it love boldly.